Like in France, when they asked the princess, they were like, people are hungry, they don't have bread to eat. Then she was like, why don't they eat cake? And then the biggest revolution started. They started lots of revolution in other Middle Eastern countries as well, like against Saddam Hussein and against kings and in Iran and all that. But the societies did not become as successful as the West did. Why? Because Islam attacks on your 50% of workforce. Hello family, I hope you're doing well. So in today's video, I will be talking to you about the guilt that West people are growing up with, people in the West are growing up with, and that victim complex that Muslims are growing up with. I've had conversation with lots of teen Muslims in the family, and the general concept growing up has been that it's always America's fault. Like war in Iraq, war in Afghanistan, war in all these Middle East. If anything is wrong, it's America's fault. And somehow, because there's lots of Jews in America, it's Jews' fault that all these countries' situation is bad. And the children that are the Muslim children in the Muslim families, I'm saying Muslim because that will cover people from everywhere, that grow up in West, they have been fed this lie that our countries used to be very great and amazing, and then it was destroyed by the West, and now we are here, so we don't really belong here, and we are the victim here. And since 7th of October, you have seen a lot of people coming up on the street to express that same feeling as well. And also, because of that feeling, you do not have that connection of belonging to that new safe haven that God have provided you. And unfortunately, I was surprised to see, because I was working initially when I started as an intern with lots of young European. They have this guilt that somehow it's West's fault that they get involved in different wars and they make things worse. And they think that people hate them for that. That's why I decided to make this video. I will change your mind. If you stay with me by the end of this video, you will have a different view of all of this, and I will prove it to you how it's not West's fault, how they don't need to be guilty about anything, and how we can really solve this and how we can make the world a better place. So that was introduction. Let's start a very long introduction. Okay, in my screen you can see this is England after World War II. You can see the destroyed building, and yeah, you can see buildings destroyed by bombs. Then we have Japan after Hiroshima and Nagasaki. They had atomic attack, for crying out loud. The situation, the destruction that it has caused, and the effects that it had. Then you see Germany. His economy got destroyed with all of that. But still, these countries, they survived it. They are here like the biggest surviving nations. Like, people would literally smuggle to get themselves to it. There was a time that Europe and England would send their criminals to Australia and America. They will declare them stateless and they will send them there. And now, people would kill to be there. People would, like, they sell their properties, everything, just to smuggle there. But whereas where I come from, since the day I was born, I'm hearing of this war that started in my country, and it's never ending. I might die, but the war would never end. And deep down within me, I felt bad. Like, I did not see my elders with that respectful eye. That, why did we run away from all of this? Why didn't we fix it? Why didn't we fix our problems? Why didn't we stay and fight for our countries? So initially, when the war started in Afghanistan, the first people that leave were like the cream of the country. That would be like the professors, the doctors, the engineers. Because a success of a country is measured on the amount of doctors and professors and engineers they have. All of them were the first to flee the country, because why? The engineers and doctors, they cannot communicate with guns. So what is the downfall? And it all comes down to the ideology. Some say that West have progressed when they realize they need to stop. They stopped the Crusades and they stopped fighting because of religion. And they start following science, and that's why they become so civilized. I am here to tell you otherwise. I think that's correct that they stopped being religious, because Jesus did not bring a religion. You read gospel, it's his life, it's his story of how he lived, how kind he was to people, how did he treated people, his love and sacrifice. That's the message it gives. It's not a book of laws and regulation. He didn't bring religion. So when the West stopped following a religion and they start following the actual message of Christ, of serving, loving, then they start progressing. And you would say, oh yeah, all this comes from the science. Well, science does not teach you responsibility and love and commitment and devotion. That comes from Christ. If you have a heart to serve other people and you're looking for a solution, you will have a mind of problem solving. So what problem we have? We don't have light in the nighttime. So let's make light bulb. Let's work on the problem solving. And yes, I am grateful to the science. Science is great. But in order to save a country, you need the ideology. The foundation needs to be made on love. Now I'm doing like people in 80s around the world. Let's do it. So around the world, like people in 80s, they were not taking religion that seriously, because Jesus himself was against religion. As the religion teaches you that if you pray and fast and be good and do good and all that, then you will be rewarded. So if you are praying because you want to go to heaven, you're not doing it from your heart. It becomes a lot of I, me. My prayer, my worship, my fast. It's me that will take me to heaven. But when you follow Christ, you are going to the church when you're praying and worshiping, you are saying that I'm here for God. You're not praying that if I pray a lot, if I sing louder, if I said a bigger song or something, then I'll go to heaven. No. You as a Christian, you know that no matter what you do, it's not going to take you to heaven. You're not going because of your good deeds. But when you stand there, you know that it's Him. He has already done it. He sacrificed Himself for you. Did you deserve it or you didn't deserve it? It doesn't matter. He did it anyway. He didn't just sit in the heaven and watch. No, He came and He lived. He touched heart. He touched people. He changed their life, and He has already paid the price for you. So then questions come down to you. Are you ready? When you really just feel how much He has done for you, and then you stand up and then you are just singing from your heart and soul. And I have had episodes where I'm just crying. And a lot of people do that because it becomes connection with God. The worship becomes for God. It's you're thanking God, and it's all His grace for everything that has already been done for you. So anything else that you do that comes, it's from the heart of love and gratitude towards God. So the worship really becomes for God. That's the main point. That is the difference. So if you have a heart that you want to serve other and help other, then you can make amazing civilizations. The problem with the war in the Middle East and my country is that we do not have it. Like in France, when they asked the princess, they were like, people are hungry, they don't have bread to eat. Then she was like, why don't they eat cake? And then the biggest revolution started. They started lots of revolution in other Middle Eastern countries as well, like against Saddam Hussein and against kings and in Iran and all that. But the societies did not become as successful as the West did. Why? Because Islam attacks on your 50% of workforce. So in order to make a successful society, you need men and women to work together. You need families. So if you have men and women coming together, working together, then you have Okay, let me explain more. For example, in Pakistan, I could not go to market. I couldn't go to supermarket by myself. I had to be accompanied during the day. But here in the West, 8 o'clock in the evening, I can go to the gym by myself. I still feel safe. Why? Because I know there is lots of cafes, supermarket, there is women in the cafes, there is women driving the buses, there is women walking on the street, there is women everywhere. And women are mothers. What does motherhood do to you? When you take maternity leave for 9 months, 1 year, you are staying home and you're being trained in telling people, no, don't eat this, don't jump there, don't put that in your mouth, don't pull that. You are doing that, no, don't, for that time. And then when you go back to work, you are ready to tell of anyone. And people will respect you. If you see someone making a mess on the street, you would stop them. And if there is lots of mothers and sisters working between us, among us, everywhere will be safe, because we wouldn't just let people do bad things. It's not how women are designed. And that's what makes everyone safe. And also that love and affection that comes from a son, like, okay, she is not my mother, but she's someone's mother. So it shapes the society. But now, if we see the example of Afghanistan, so women of Afghanistan, let's have a look. They have been put into this walking jail. This is a prison with these tiny holes that you could hardly see. It's very hard to breathe, and it's very hot to wear these. They've taken away the beauty from women and changed it with this black. If you take away the freedom of women and put them in-house, there was once this reporter was interviewing this guy, Taliban guy and he said that, are women doctor allowed to work? And he said, no, of course not. No woman doctor is allowed to work. And they're like, if your wife is sick, would you take her to a male doctor or a female doctor? Very interesting question. I don't know what happened to that reporter or not. I don't know if they unalived him or not. I don't know. Maybe they did, because they were like, if the wife gets sick, you get another wife. You unalive the first one. You get 3 more options. So if you put the workforce, if you lock 50% of your workforce, the society would crumble. And that is the reason that none of these Middle Eastern countries are successful. They can't get it together because they are losing 50% of their workforce is not only in house prisons, they are also mistreated. They are not being educated. They are not being empowered. What was the first thing devil did? He did not attack Adam. He went to Eve. If you take away the training, education, and power from women, you have destroyed that country. That country has no chance of developing again. So West, stop feeling guilty. It's not America. I'm not saying that they are angels. Maybe they made mistakes, maybe they did things. But if someone is strong enough to recover and defend himself, no matter what the other person hit that person with, he will get up. He will dust himself off and get on. But if the ideology is wrong to begin with, then you can play the blame game all day long. It's not going to fix anything. And what annoys me the most is that these people, they do not understand that this ideology is like a cancer that has destroyed their homes, their relationships, their countries. Instead of leaving it, they bring it with them and they want to empower it. Now they want Sharia for Germany, Sharia for England, Sharia for Europe, Sharia for US, Sharia for everything. You don't want that. If you want multiculturalism and if you want to bring people, you need to train them, test them. They need to adopt. Bring people. Yes, Europe does not have the same amount of birth rate and they had to bring more people, whatever. If the people do not have the same ideology as you, they will not come as a workforce because 50% of their workforce will be stuck at home claiming lots of benefits. and not bringing something back to the society. And then you will have lots of other problems. So if they are not adopting, you need to send them back. Otherwise, there is no benefit. Things have become so expensive. The one person's salary is not enough to cover everything. Both mom and dad have to work in order to survive in today's current society of recession, where everything is super expensive. The fault is of the ideology. Okay, you see this Greece boat tragedy? They were smuggling people, and there were 350 Pakistani on board as well. Now, there is no war in there. It's all economic. And why the economy is so bad? Because they're following a really old ideology which is against women. Okay, when women go to the church, they stay with their family. They sing together, and then service finish, and the children, in some churches, children will go in separate rooms where they will be drawing and reading, whereas upstairs the service will continue. Like, different churches do differently, but when you are during the service, you stay with your family. But if a woman prays together, so women were not allowed to come to mosques during Muhammad time as well, like from the very beginning. Like, if you don't let them come to worship God next to you, if they're not allowed to come to worship God, then they're not allowed to go anywhere. And that's the ideology the Taliban has. If they can't come to worship God, they're not allowed to come. They do not have any other right to do anything. But sometimes we would pray at home. So the person who's leading the prayer will stand in the first line. Then men will stand behind him. Then boys will stand behind the men. There's like in rows, you need to make rows. Then women will stand behind boys, and girls will stand after them. And then you'll be up and down, you do the prayer ritual. But they said, like, women are gossiping a lot and wasting time, so they shouldn't come for prayer. Now, in West, the mosques which are created, they have a separate area for women to pray and separate area for men to pray. And if you go to wedding, back home Pakistan, when you go wedding, I've been to lots of weddings, women are in separate hall, men are in separate hall. What does it do to... So for me, like, my dad was old and he had diabetes. So when we go to a wedding, he would be separate from us. And I would always worry, did he eat properly? Was he cared for? Did he had a chance to sit? Like, did he even enjoy the party? Like, its separation is all... And when we leave, we had to, like, communicate. He would be waiting outside the hall so we can find us. So, like, families are separate. It's a huge mess. We stopped going to the wedding because it's a hassle. You're not going together as a family to be together and enjoy the party. No, they're all separate. And Afghans, unfortunately, they follow. There are some weddings where they're all together, and those were the most fun. But when you separate them, okay, when there is funeral, male and female are separate. Because once the separation comes from the mosque, then that separation stays all the time. If you take a bus, male and female are separate. If you're in Dubai, you're taking a train, there is a separate section for women and separate section for men. And when we were traveling, I had like two kids with me, and my husband had to stay with me. Like, come on, did he got off on the platform? Did he not got off? It's really confusing. Like, if I lose him, how am I gonna manage these kids without him? It becomes very problematic when you are always separating the families. people don't get it, that this religion is always attacking the families, always separating the families. And that's why these societies will never wake up again. They will never stand up again like the West did. Because Jesus' values are based on bringing families together. When you go to the church, you have a church family. You have brother and sister there. It's all based on love and commitment. It's bringing families together. You not have just biological family, you have a church family. You make societies based on those connections. It's all about families and bringing the families together, growing together. It's bringing love and nourishment. And you need all that. If you have all that, if you have established strong families bonds with strong mothers, then you can have strong foundations, you can have strong countries. Otherwise, you can't have it. Men cannot lead successful countries. They can't do it by themselves. So stop feeling guilty. Open your eyes. The problem is the ideology. It's not the Jews, it's not the West, it's not. And for Afghanistan to have any future, for any hope for them to become a country again, is like if they come to Christ. And then everybody drop their weapons and know that they are all equal. Male and female are equal in the eye of God, and they have to work together to build their nation. Oh, I hope this has inspired anyone. And please share it if you agree. And look after yourself. And I hope this video have blessed you. And I will pray that God will bless you and your families. Stay happy and blessed, and I'll see you in the next one. Take care.